Hey friends, so welcome to the journey with Alexia. It's me again, Sarah Alexia. And in this podcast, we just talk about anything. Like, there's no set content, there's no specific agenda. I just literally talk about what's on my mind, what's on my heart, what's going on in the world. I'm a troll, I'm an educator, so I'm all these things in a bag of chips. And I just truly believe that God has called me to a greater audience, to a greater demographic, not just not just the people who are attached to me, but just there's a crowd out there, there's an audience out there that truly needs to hear what God has to say through me. And there's an audience out there that's going through what I've went through. There's an audience out there that has questions that I've had, that I probably got the answers to, or that maybe I have questions too. We can try to figure it out together. So yeah, if you're new to my podcast, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. This is not YouTube, but make sure you give me a follow. Follow me on Instagram at __ SARAHALXIA. So that's at _ Sarah Alexia on Instagram. And yeah, let's just dive into what we got today. Let's get it. All right, so let's get into it. So today I want to talk about, whenever you're watching this, but I want to talk about like the fear of missing out. So FOMO is something I truly, when I tell you struggle, like your girl be struggling, like it's bad. Like I have to make sure I'm at every event, and I have to make sure, one, I'm the first one there, and two, I'm like the last one out. Like it got to a point where I would be the first one at the event just because I didn't want to miss out on anything that was happening at the beginning. And it also, I had to be the last one out because I didn't want to miss out on anything. And I was really trying to figure out, like, Sarah, why are you like this? Like, why are you always on time? And mind you, I used to get compliments like, Sarah, you're always on time. You're always on time. Like, you're always the first one there. Meanwhile, people didn't know that the only reason why I'm on time is because I didn't want to miss out on anything that would happen. Or people be like, oh, you're such a ride or die. You stayed until the end. You're helping, blah, blah, blah. And like, they're giving me public praise for, a fear of mine, an anxiety of mine. And I really had to sit down with myself and think, like, why am I like this? Why am I always on time? Just mind you, because I'll be miserable. Like, I'll get there on time. Like, I'll get to an event on time and just sit there, and like no one would be on time, no one would show up. And I would be pissed, like, bro, I came on time just for the vibes not to be vibing. Like, I came here, no one's here. Like, I would be pissed. And then I would sit there like, Sarah, why did you stay? Like, not why did you stay, but why did you come so early? And I knew why. I'm going to get into that later. Or when I would stay late and then I would get home late and I'll be pissed, like, yo, Sarah, why did you stay so late? You could have been got home. And as I reflect and I sat there with self, I would really be like, I finally understood why. I understood why. So as a child, not as a child, but as a teenager, a young teenager, I wasn't allowed any friends. I grew up in a Haitian household, wasn't really allowed any friends. So I never really created any bonds with people. And the only bonds I was able to create were like when I was at school. So when I was at middle school and high school. And I'll always remember, like, when I didn't show up, there was a bond that was created that kind of isolated me out. Like, not isolated me out, but that kind of pushed me out of the circle. So, like, let's say I didn't show up to school one day and I had friend A and friend B. Like, these are my friends. But because I didn't show up to school, there was a bond that was created and now I felt left out. Or let's say I showed up to the cafeteria late because I had to stay behind with a teacher or whatever. When I would finally come to the lunch table, I would feel left out. Like, I feel left out because I missed the hee hee ha ha's. I missed the laughs. I missed the seriousness. And that's kind of where my FOMO came from. And you're probably thinking like, oh, that's really small. No. It's actually pretty big because, one, I didn't really grow up with like siblings my age. I had a little brother, and I had like 3 older siblings, but like I never really had like true relationship or true bond. So school was like my only gateway to like really create those bonds. And then when I became more active or, wanted to go to church, like that was like my next step. But then that was robbed from me as well. And you're probably thinking, church, like how was church robbed from you? Well, I'll tell you a little story. So sometime there was one time where this girl at my church, she was really young. I think I want to say I was like 13, maybe. Yeah, I was like 13 probably, and I believe she was like 16. And she got pregnant. I think she was 16. And she got pregnant. So my mom got word that one of the youth members got pregnant, and now she said I could no longer go to youth group because my old church at the time is not really holding the kids accountable, and they're just letting teenagers have sex with each other, and she didn't want her child to be a part of that. So I now was taken away from church just because my mom had a fear that her daughter was going to get pregnant. And to me, it just like, I would sit there, I'm like, but it's church. Isn't like, church should be a safe place. But church was robbed from me at that young age. Well, at least youth was. And I saw what that did. So as I got older, I saw all the bonds that were created when I was taken away from church. Like all the girls were so close with each other. They would always bring up moments for like, oh, remember when youth group, when this happened, when that happened, and like they would always bring up these moments, and I just always felt not a part. I always felt isolated. I always felt like an outcast, basically, because I wasn't there with those bonds. So now that I have more independence, I have a car, now I try to make it a point that I go to every single event. I make sure I'm a part of every single group. I make sure I attend every single event. I make sure that I am a part of every friendship group because I don't want to miss out on the bond. I don't want to miss out on the fellowship. I don't want to miss out on the friendship. Like I don't want there to be a conversation and I'm like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Like I didn't like that cuz it really made me feel bad as a person, and like there was one point I was frustrated with my mom. I'm like, "Yo, you literally robbed me of having friends. Like one, you didn't want me to have friends. Like I couldn't go over people's houses, and you know, I was missing school. I was late for school. Even when I was a cheerleader, like I was always late to my game. So it's like I missed out on all these opportunities to create bonds and friendships. And I got frustrated at one point, and I'm like, bro, like she really robbed this from me. Um, so I just broke my hanger, and this is an expensive hanger. But so yeah, that was kind of that. So it created this FOMO in me. Like, so I say all of that to say, like, it created this like fear of missing out, and that's because like I really wanna be a part, if that makes sense. Like I want to be a part of the groups. I want to be a part of the laughs. I want to be a part of the insiders. I no longer want to be an outsider. So now I make it a point to attend things early. It's trauma. Like I'm gonna call it for what it is. It's trauma. So I make it a point to attend things early. So that way, if there's a joke in place, I'm a part of the joke. Or if something special happens or a special bond happens, I want to make sure I'm a part of that bond. I make sure I stay late just in case there's any insiders. And granted, it worked. Like what I was doing was working because I created so much friendships and so much bonds. Like there's been so many insiders that it helped. Like I was a part. I was a part. I was approved. I wasn't left out, so it was working. But now, I started to get burnt out. I started to feel overwhelmed. I started to feel anxious because it got into a point where like I made myself so available, and I inputted myself in so many activities, groups, and events that I started double booking myself. Not even double booking, triple booking, quadruple booking. Like I had to be at four places at once, and like it would really stress me out because it's like I need to make sure I'm at all four places. So now obviously like I'm not working to be on time or stay there late, but I'm working to be at all four so that way people know that I'm there. And that if there was a bond that's created, I can be a part of that bond. And to me it was crazy. And I'm still working through this. And a lot of people didn't understand like why I was like this, but it's truly because I don't want to feel left out. And you may be listening to this and you probably struggle with the same thing, and you're probably thinking like, why do I have this FOMO? You really have to come to a place where you reflect and think, okay, why am I afraid of missing out? Is there something that's going to be there that's going to cause me to feel like I'm not a part? Like I really had to think, why am I missing out? why do I fear missing out on this said group? Why do I fear missing out on this said event? And that I really had to come to that. I forgot what it was, but like I woke up, mind you, I was exhausted, and I told myself I have to go to this event. I have to go to this event. But then I really just sat. Oh, I remember it was my friend's birthday party. So I sat there and I'm like, mind you, I'm not feeling well. Like I would go to events sick. So I'm not feeling well. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I have to go to her birthday party. And I just sat there looking at my TV. I'm like, Sarah, why do you feel so pressured to go to this? Like, why do you feel so pressured? And eventually I didn't go, but because I wasn't feeling well. But when I was looking at the photos and I saw everyone laughing, I'm like, wow, I didn't get to be a part of that. I didn't get to be a part of the laughs. I didn't get to be a part of the pictures that they took. I didn't get to be a part of the memories. That's really what it is. Like I want to be a part of the memory. I want people to remember me. Like, and because I wasn't a part of that, it now makes me feel bad. So I strive the next time to make sure that I'm present. And mind you, it has nothing to do like when as I'm now speaking this, it has nothing to do with that person. It has nothing to do with, oh, I hope, she knows I love her and I show up. It has everything to do with me, which is very selfish. Now that I think about it, now that I'm speaking, like mind you, this wasn't in the script, but now that I speak it out loud, it's like, yo, Sarah, you're selfish. Like you only want to go so that way they remember you when you're supposed to go celebrate them. It's selfish, I know. But it's my story and obviously I'm working through it. But my FOMO really derived from selfishness because I wanted to make sure that people remember me. And obviously the selfishness is not intentional. The selfishness is coming from trauma of like what I've experienced as a child. But like I would get like it was to the point where when I was younger, because I didn't show up or because I wasn't there, like I would get kicked out of groups. Like I would get kicked out of friend groups. Like, oh, you weren't here yesterday. You can't sit with us. What are you trying to sit at our table for? And I'm like, bro, it's not my fault that I wasn't here yesterday. Like, so it's more than just, oh, like, I felt left out. Like, I was actually getting bullied because I wasn't present. So, like, I had to make sure I'm there every single time. Like, I wouldn't get certain positions as a child because I wasn't present. And, like, that also comes from society. Like, oh, if you don't show up, you miss out. Like that's what I was taught growing up. So, and it became this selfish mindset. Like I have to make sure I show up so people know that I'm here. That's bad. So yeah, so that was my FOMO, and that's where it came from. And if you're struggling with FOMO, like just know you're not alone. And there's a way out of this. You just got to really get down to why do I have this fear of missing out. Now, I'm obviously not just gonna leave it out like that because you know when there's bad, there's also good. So there's this new thing that I learned. It's called JOMO. It's called the joy of missing out. And to me, it kind of shifted my perspective and finding joy. Like, okay, if I miss out, how can this bring me joy? This is how I perceived it. It's probably different for other people, but there's joy in missing out. So for me, like, let's say I don't go to a birthday party, right? The joy is I get to do something for myself. The joy is I get to be there for someone else. Like I don't have to fear missing out, but there's joy in not showing up. Okay, for instance, like let's say my friends after church they want to go out to eat. They want to go out to eat, they want to fellowship, but for me, I just don't feel like it. Now the old Sarah or the Sarah that's, working to be better, she would be like, I have to show up because I don't want my friends to feel like I don't love them. Or I have to show up because I don't want to miss out on the laughs that might happen or the bond that might get created. Like I'm always about making a bond stronger. So like I would tell myself I have to go just to make sure that, this moment strengthens our bond. But like if I'm not myself or I'm not feeling 100% or I'm not feeling well or my mindset is just not in the place to hang out, I shouldn't put myself in that position, if that makes sense. And I feel like a lot of times we put ourselves in positions where we're not going to be our authentic self. Like I would literally go to these events with FOMO. Like I have a fear of missing out, but I would go to the event miserable. Like I would be angry, frustrated, just looking like I don't want to be there. And people would be like, yo, Sarah, are you good? You look miserable. Like it was getting worse. Like granted, like I said in the beginning, it was working and I was creating the bond. But like there came a point where people were like, yo, Sarah, you look miserable, you need to go home. Like I have a great friend who would tell me like, sis, like you should not be here right now. And it took her, like, honestly, she was probably one of the first people, or one of the top 5 people that would be like, yo, I'll really sit there and reflect, like, why am I here? Why am I here? Like, I don't need to be here. And like, she would always tell me, like, make sure you rest before coming. And if you don't rest, don't show up. But I would still show up because I don't listen. But like, I really had to think deep within and be like, yo, like, more important. And I still have to do this, but which one's more important? Like, myself, my rest, or making sure that this person feels seen and loved. But like, I can, and mind you, as a Christian, you have to lay your life down. But am I really laying my life down if I go to brunch with my friends and I'm miserable? Like, people are gonna notice that you're miserable, and people don't like that. So am I really laying my life down if I'm miserable and at brunch with my friends? Because they're not gonna feel loved. They're gonna feel like they did something, right? So I really had to do that. I really had to find joy in missing out. So what I'm trying to say is, like, there's joy in missing out because you get to put yourself first and make sure that you're at your best self. And as you continue to pour into yourself. So for me, like, there's a couple of things I didn't do this weekend, or like, okay, after church, usually after church on Sundays, I spent a majority of my time at my mom's house, or I find something to do with my friends. But today I took the initiative. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just go to the gym. And there's joy for me. I love going to the gym, and I haven't been able to go to the gym all week. So I went to the gym, and it was great. And I found joy. I found peace. Granted, I could have hung out with my friends, or I could have hung out with my brother or my mom, but like, I wouldn't have been my best self. And we got to get to a place where you're your best self. Like, what's something like, yes, okay, you don't have the money to go out with your friends, but yet, you probably use your credit card, but you would be going into debt because of your FOMO. Sorry, I'm like jumbling my words, but there could be joy in missing out, and you don't have to go into debt. And that's the joy of it. Like, I just saved money not going out. Or, gas prices are mad high. So let's say you don't go to that party. There's joy in that because you're like, I just saved a ton of gas, not driving 15 miles all the way to the other side of town. So like, really trying to find, okay, how can I find joy in this? Like, if I don't go to that basketball game, there's joy because I get to watch a movie that I didn't get to watch. Or, let's say, okay, even church. Let's say you don't go to church one Sunday, right? This was my biggest struggle. Like, I have to make sure I was at church for the 9 a.m. service and for the 11 a.m. service. Just because I didn't want to miss out on anything that was there. Like, I would show up, mind you, I wouldn't be singing, I wouldn't be doing nothing. But I would still show up for the 9 a.m. service just because of my FOMO. Which is bad. Because you shouldn't, you shouldn't just be going, like, you should go, like, your heart posture should be, I want to go just to go, not because I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed to go, if that makes sense. And a lot of people, like, I know some people who go to 9 and 11 a.m. services because they genuinely want to be there. But for me, it was more so, I don't want to miss out on anything. Like, there shouldn't be an obligation. It should just be like, I just really want to go. Like, I just really want to go fellowship. I'm feeling my best self, and I really just want to go fellowship with my peers. So yeah, like, even like, let's say you miss out on a church service, there's joy in that you can stay home, probably clean your house, do some self-care, or you just get the day to yourself. So like, really trying to find joy in, yes, I didn't show up to this event, but there's joy because I got to do something else. There's joy because I got to save on money, I got to save on gas. There's joy because I just got to be with myself, or there's joy because I got to attend someone else's event. So that's a new thing that I learned is JOMO. There's joy in missing out. Joy in missing out. So hopefully this resonates with someone. Hopefully this allows you to really shift your perspective when it comes to FOMO. I know it's something I still struggle with. And it's something that's like, it's a day by day thing. It's step by step. It's not something you're gonna overcome overnight. But you really just got to start finding joy. And like, something that's helped me is I started to speak joy. I started to say, I am joyful. And once I started to do that, I started to find joy in the little things. So it also starts with your affirmation, and how you see yourself. And once I started to see myself as a joyful person, I started to find joy in the little things. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully, you shift your perspective. Hopefully FOMO no longer resonates in your mind, but JOMO now resonates in your mind. So be blessed. Love you. Praying for you, whoever's listening to this. I pray for every listener. And yeah, catch you in the next episode.